morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday. I'm Erica Fernandez, and I'm here today with Casey Stutzman. Casey, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So the last few weeks, we've talked a little bit about lower body lunges and squats, but what are some upper body exercises that we can incorporate into our workouts?
You were very good with the questions these last few weeks.
Thanks.
Go you. So when we're looking at upper body movements, we can basically break it down to pushes and pulls.
Okay.
We're going to put more priority on the pull for a couple reasons. One, pull is huge for postural muscles and great for shoulder position.
Okay.
If I'm good at pulling exercises, and we know these as rows, it helps to set good shoulder position, and it's going to feed better pushing exercises. So basically, the better I get at pulling and rowing, the better I can be at like push-ups and bench press and things of that nature.
Okay.
So this is going to be our primary focus. There's a couple things we're going to look at to promote good shoulder position, and a couple things that kind of go wrong that we're going to highlight.
Okay.
So the biggest thing with rows is shoulder blade position.
Okay.
So your shoulder blades, the scapulas, those big kind of wingy bones that like float on the back of your ribs.
Right.
We want to think about putting those in your back pockets.
Okay.
So they should go down and back. Okay. So not just back where I'm kind of pinching, but I also want to drop them down. What that's going to do is it's going to lengthen my neck.
Okay.
So when you think about down and back, your neck is going to get super long. Now, like we talked about with the squats and the lunges, it all starts from the trunk.
Okay.
So what we'll see a lot is when people try and set their shoulders down, they pop their ribs open.
Right.
So we've lost our brace neutral spine, and then we're just dumping a lot of pressure into our low back, into our lumbar spine. So first and foremost, I got to get that brace neutral spine, that little tickle test, and then I set my shoulders down and back. Now that's really hard for a lot of people because they'll notice when they set their shoulders, they pop. And when they close their ribs, their shoulders come forward. Okay. And it's this kind of weird tug of war. Yeah. The best way to get good at that is just think trunk, shoulders, trunk, shoulders, trunk, and kind of little back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, and teach them how to work together where they're not busting open. Perfect. So when we go into this, we're always going to start with low elbows on the row. Okay. The more the arm comes up, the more it challenges that shoulder position. So we're always going to start here. So I'm going to start with my arms fully extended. Now we're using the TRX. You can use this. This applies for anything: a bent over dumbbell row, a cable row, a lat pull down, anything at all. First, I'm going to set that brace trunk. So close the ribs, brace the trunk like you're about to get tickled. Now I'm going to kind of screw my shoulders in. So think about turning your biceps away from each other. And if I do that well, I should get some tension kind of down here. Yeah. But then I want to stay tight and closed. Tight and closed. Screw the arms. Tight and closed. You see how hard that is to do them both together? Now, keeping those arms screwed in with the hands neutral, start to pull the elbows down towards the ribs. And what I'm looking for here is width in your collarbones. Okay. So what we'll see a lot is if I lose my shoulder blades, we collapse in. Right. And you'll also notice when you do that, your elbows go out, your biceps turn in, your hands come in. So we get this position instead of this open position. So you're doing a great job. Okay. But the reason you're doing a great job is because you spend a lot of time setting it from the beginning. Right. So we'll come back down to this position. We get tight across the belly, shoulders down and back, screw those arms in to get tension kind of down in the lats. Now keep that tension as you pull. Keep going, and the elbow's just right there, just past the ribs. That's as far as we got to go, but you're nice and open and wide in the collarbones. Right. Shoulders are open. We have that down and back, and then we're going to lower back down. Now, even though we're not at a crazy steep angle, those are challenging, yes? Yeah, because you're really working hard and getting a lot of tension. Yeah. So like we did with other stuff, mastering our body weight is first and foremost before we start doing other more movement-based things. So that's why I love this position for that, because we get to really master that trunk and moving our body through space. Yeah.
So I have a question. If you were to do these, by pushing the elbows out or not focusing on form, really, I mean, could you possibly get injured? Yeah.
A lot of people have heard of shoulder impingement. Yeah. Shoulder impingement is basically where there's not enough room for the arm to move in the shoulder socket. Mm-hmm. That happens when my shoulder blade's in a bad position. Okay. So when this shoulder is kind of up, well, try this. Adopt really nice tall posture. Okay. Shoulders down and back, trunk braced. Bring your arm up overhead. Pretty easy, right? Yeah. Okay, now slouch. Okay. Now bring your arm up overhead. Can't. Yeah. So you're running into yourself. Yeah, yeah. So if I'm in this position and trying to row, I'm hammering the head of that humerus into that joint and causing impingement, inflammation. That's where we get a lot of rotator cuff issues. Yeah. So maintaining that openness, keeping the shoulder blades down and back, provides ample room for the head of the arm to move within that shoulder socket. Yes. So vital for shoulder health.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually, personally, I have a bad shoulder, so these pulls can actually help strengthen the shoulders, I'm sure.
Massively. And what you'll notice, sometimes when we start to get up in the elbows, that shoulder dives forward, and now we're in that same impinged position. That's why keeping them by your sides kind of forces you to keep open and back.
Perfect.
So it's really important.
All right, so really focus on the small things, the little details, and not just pulling as fast as possible.
Exactly.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here, Casey.
Thank you.
Stay tuned because sports is next with John Scheidler.